Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope your day's going lovely. Thank you so much for joining me. Well, today I have the Simon Says Stamp card kit for July 2025. It's pretty amazing. It's called Through the Window. I'm going to share with you what's in the kit. I already took it out of the box. I'm going to walk you through everything in it really quickly, and then we're going to jump in and create some card projects using it. Starting off, this month we get a mesh bag. These are great for card making projects, great for travel, great for so many different things. This is a mesh zipper pouch, and it's a very, very nice quality. You have the little emblem on the tag, and I got yellow today, but colors will vary. They have a variety or a rainbow of colors, so your color will be a surprise. Also included are 3 sheets of cardstock. These are all from Simon. You have the ivory, you have banana, and then you also have peacock. Our stamp set this month is called Through the Window. It's a large 6x8 stamp set. And you have your base window, you have 5 greetings, and then you have all of these scenes that you could put inside the window. How lovely is this? This is great for masculine cards too. So that's our stamp set. It's a large 6x8. Also included is a half sheet of acetate. This is perfect for putting behind your die set. You're gonna love I love the die set. I just think it's fabulous. It's called Window Trio. Let me open it up and show you the size. Usually I say that the index pictures on front are match the size, but these are large, so you get so much value in this kit. This is one window. This is another. And then this is another, and this is your last window. And this looks like it may be the same size as this. No. This window is just a little bit larger than the window on our stamp set. But 3 fabulous dies. I'm not sure what they look like when they're cut out, but let's do that and I'll show you what they look like. I cut this one out, and the window panes open on the bottom, so you can keep them closed or you can open them up. How fabulous is this? So that's one of our windows. The smaller window does the same thing. The window panes open up, and then so does the arch window. So these are really, really fabulous. I think the value, this is very great value for our card kit this month, because I know these are probably very expensive on their own. So that is our die set this month. That's not all. We also get a fabulous stencil. This is called Landscapes. Let me take it out. Landscape, you get the clouds. You get some single clouds, you get a moon or a sunshine, and then you get some birds, and then you get some landscape, you get some land. This looks like ocean or water, and then this one is some hills. So this is included in our kit. I think this is fabulous too, to put a little scene behind our window. I'm just loving this. And then we get some pattern papers. These are from La La Land Crafts, and they are called In the City. They're double-sided, so you get to pick and choose which ones you want. But look, how fabulous would it be to live in a city that looks like this during the spring? It looks like so gorgeous, beautiful. I'm not going to go through them all, but you know, yeah, maybe I will, because they're fabulous. Look how gorgeous. These little scenes are so fabulous. Just lovely. And then they're double-sided. Great for putting behind windows. It makes quick and easy cards. They're just wonderful. And how many of these do you get? You get 12. And it's really thick too. Nice. The paper has a really nice heavyweight quality to them. So that's included. We also get some stellar embellishments. I love the size of these. These are beautiful. I think this is brand new at Simon Says Stamp. This is Positively Perfect craft glue. Now I love using my stickles. Let me show you. I love using my stickles because it's so easy to use in this container, and I love the small tip on here. Okay, it just makes it really easy to add details to your projects. The Simon Says Stamp Positively Perfect craft glue has the same style of bottle, so you can still get precision gluing. Let me grab some craft paper. Look how wonderful this is. So this is perfect, especially if you want to glue down your little embellishment mix. I'm looking forward to trying these. But I love, this is going to be wonderful for travel too. Okay, so that's included. And then there's more. I can't believe how much is in this kit. There's also some Scorched Timber Distress ink. It's a little mini ink cube. I don't have this one, so I was excited about this. And then there's a 1/4 sheet of Simon Says Stamp white adhesive foam strips. Perfect for putting, perfect for putting behind your windows, because you know I like to pop things up. Okay, that's included. And then lastly, we even get a sweet treat. So this is a huge valued kit for everything that you get. And I'm looking so forward into creating my projects today. So let's jump in and get started. For my card today, I made a top folding A2 size card base. So this is 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches tall. We'll put this to the side, and then this is my window. You can see the bottom window panes open up. So much fun. In our kit this month, we have a piece of acetate. What I'm going to do is take a piece and put it behind this top layer, and then I'm going to cut a small piece to go behind this window pane and this window pane. This way you can still open it. And now our window can open, and we have that nice glaze. I think it's going to make a great accent to our card. We're going to put some foam tape behind here. We'll get this ready to put on our card. And we have foam tape behind here for a little bit of dimension. Now we need something to put behind our window. And I went through our pattern papers, which are just fabulous. And this was my favorite. So we're going to use this. For the most part, we're going to use almost all of this. I'm going to start by creating a panel. So I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer. We're going to start by trimming this in half. And then I'll turn it, and then I'm going to trim it 4 1/4. So this is 3 inches by 4 1/4. Lovely. And then with this piece, I'm actually going to trim this down to fit behind our window here. I'm going to move this around to where I can see some of the skyscrapers in the back. And I think this is a good spot. So I'm going to trim here. And we're going to trim a panel to go behind our window. This one will be for our background. We're going to put this to the side. This one's going to go behind our window. Okay, but I do want to add a little extra something. So I love the flowers in here. So we're going to actually fussy cut some of the flowers out. So now I have these flowers. With this piece, there's some clouds in here. I'm going to fussy cut these out also. Now we have some clouds. And then with this extra piece, the skyscraper in the background, we're going to trim out also. I'm also going to cut out this little sunshine, because why not use all of the pattern paper? Even though this has a little notch sticking out, we're going to do a little tucking with it. So with that one piece of pattern paper, we have a background. We have a background for our window. We have an extra skyscraper. We have a flower, some clouds, and some sunshine. Okay, the rest we can just toss. Our kit this month came with some distress ink. I'm going to take that, and then I'm going to use a finger dauber, and I'm going to go around the edges of my building, and also the clouds and our little sunshine and the flowers. And that's all there is to that. So I went around the edges of everything but this background panel. With this background panel, we're going to do a little layering. So I have my skyscraper. I did put foam tape behind here, and I'm going to layer it. Let's see where our window is. I'm going to layer it right in front of this one. And this is just going to cause a little bit of a shadow and give me a little bit of dimension in there. The part that's overhanging, I'm just going to trim off. We'll add a little glue to our little sunshine. And I will add this in the background. Kind of customizing our scene, kind of bringing everything together. And then with the clouds here, we already have some clouds here. I'm going to add a little extra up here on the top, just using a foam square. I trimmed off everything that was overhanging, and I do want to mention that for your cloud or your high-rise buildings, skyscrapers, make sure you don't go all the way to the end. Leave about 1/4 of an inch here and here, because this way when we add our window, everything's gonna layer perfectly flat. Okay, I did remove the release paper off of my window, and then now what we're going to do is just layer this right over the top. And now our window has some 3D elements, kind of customized. We're going to add some glue, and then we're going to layer this right over that panel. Now for my flower piece, I thought we'd put it down here in the corner. But as I'm looking at this, I think it looks a little bit too dark for what I was going for. So I could save this for another card. I am going to bring in a die set from Simon and add something to this corner. The die set that I'm using is called the Etched Meadow Flower and Leaves. It looks really similar to the Magnolia, I think. And I wanted a little bit more of the ivory cardstock showing here. So I'm going to take some of that ivory cardstock and die cut out my flower here, and I'm also going to die cut out one of the leaves. I'll do that and I'll be right back. I am going to add a little color to these leaves using some of my Simon Says Stamp Cheeky ink. I think the Cheeky will go really good with the color, the pink in the background. So I'm just going to use my blending tool, dab off a little bit of ink and color in the flower. I'm going to add a little color to our leaves too. I'm also going to bring in a little bit of my Simon Says Stamp Dew ink, and we're going to add a little bit of blue. I think it's going to match our background here, just to the one side, and then on our leaves also. And then we're going to use the distress ink that came in the kit, and with my finger dauber, I'm going to add some brown highlights. So I'll just add a little dot of glue here along the edge of my window pane. And we can layer these together. Now we need a greeting to go for our card today, and I'm going to use our Through the Windows stamp set. I'm going to stamp Thinking of You. I'm going to stamp it on the same ivory cardstock here. And then using my distress ink, I'm going to stamp with it. Sometimes stamping with distress ink doesn't create the crispest greetings, but I really like the brown, and I think I can get away with it since it's so dark. Let's see how this does. Actually stamps pretty well. I'm going to go ahead and take my scissors, and I'm going to fussy cut around my greeting. Now I'm going to take some iridescent white cording from Simon Says Stamp, and I'm going to tie a bow with it. And then using a glue dot, I'm going to put it down here on the bottom of my corner. And I'm loving the way this looks, but I do want to bring out a little bit more of the pink. So I have some Spellbinders. This is chiffon cardstock, and I'm going to mat this on a piece, and it's just going to bring out the pink that's in the background. I'm going to use my glue, and we'll attach it here. And then I put glue behind here. We're going to attach this to the front of our ivory card base. And that will finish off card number 1. We're going to jump in to our next card. For our next card, we're going to do some stenciling. So we have our landscapes. I think this is going to be one of those stencils that are great for stash building because you can do so much with it. Let me bring in a piece of white cardstock. My panel is 3.5 inches wide, and what we're going to do is take our stencil. I'm going to pull it up from behind and go through the clouds. And then I'm bringing in some inks. I have Simon Says Stamp Morning. I have Simon Says Stamp Marine. And we're going to add a little color. I'm going to start all the way over here to the right. We're going to take one of our windows. I'm going to use the arch for this card, and I'm going to die cut this out. And then while I'm die cutting, I'm also going to take our stamp set, and I think we're going to make a Missing You card with this. So let's take Missing You, and I'll stamp this at the bottom. I'm going to rub my hand over it really well because I'm going to use our Distress ink to go over it. And we'll stamp down here. While we're die cutting, I'm also going to bring in the same die set that we used for our first card, and I'm going to die cut out some leaves for this card. So there's 2 leaf sets in here, and I'm going to cut them both out with white cardstock also. Now I have my card base. It's an A2 top folding card base. I want to put some ivory strips on the left and right here. So I'm just going to use my glue. Now I also have 2 strips of my Spellbinder chiffon cardstock. We're going to add some glue to our stenciled panel. So about 1/4 inch is showing. And I'll do the same thing. So that will be on my panel. I put glue behind here, and we're going to attach it to the front of our card base. And then I put foam tape behind my window. I did put one down the center. If you want your window to open up and close, you don't have to put it down the center. I think this is just going to give me a little bit of stability here. I'm going to place this right in the center of my card. It kind of looks really dreamy. And then we're going to add our leaves like we did with our first card, but I'm going to add it over here. I tucked the bottom of the leaf inside of my window pane. And if you want to put acetate behind here, I think that would look really pretty too. Okay, I did put foam tape behind my Missing You. I'm going to layer it on my window down here, in this bottom corner. And then in our stamp set, there's a little dragonfly. I took that. We're going to stamp this. Maybe we'll go 3 times. I'm pretty, well, I don't know if Simon, Simon may have a die set that coordinates with it. If Simon does, I'll link it down below. But I'm going to fussy cut out these dragonflies. Another alternative would be to stamp them in your background before you put your window down. That way they're actually stamped on your stenciled background. But I don't mind fussy cutting. Using our Positively Perfect craft glue, I'm just going to add 1 dot of glue on the reverse side, and we're going to add some dragonflies to our window. After we have this done, I'm going to bring back our twine, and I'm going to create a bow with this, and I'm going to place the bow down here on the bottom using a glue dot. We'll add a little bit of iridescent tone. And then we're going to bring in our Stellar embellishment mix. We're going to add a few stars to our background. I also put one of those stars here in the center of my bow. This would be one of those great cards that if you changed out Missing You and put Hello Baby, it'd make a great nursery card or a baby card. I love how dreamy it looks. That finishes card number 2. For my next card, you can use any of the landscapes that are here, but I chose the one with the trees and the mountains. I'm going to put this on an acrylic block, and we're going to stamp this with our Distress ink. And ink this up, and I'm going to stamp this on some white cardstock. It doesn't have to be this big. I would suggest maybe a piece of cardstock that is any size bigger than the square window frame, because we're going to use the square window frame on our card today. So I'll stamp this. Look how pretty that is. I just think that's gorgeous. I do want a little bit of color to this, so I'm just going to bring in some very light Copic markers. These are the ones I'm bringing in. And then I'm going to just add a little color to my mountaintops. I'm actually going to add a little bit of pink. And then we have some teal that I'll just add a little color for the trees. The great thing about this is there is no right or wrong in adding color, but look how pretty that is. And then I'm also going to bring in my stencil, and we're going to add some clouds. So let's tuck this in here, and just using the same inks we used for our last card, we're going to add some color very lightly. So now we have a little cloudy background. Didn't take any time at all. Now this is going to sound weird, but I'm bringing in my scorched timber, and there's clouds that are in our stencil. I'm going to add a little ink to a finger dauber, and I'm going to go over the clouds with my scorched timber here. We're going to bring up the image to the sky. This is a great way to do that. And then we'll add maybe a couple over here. There we go. Now we're almost done with this. I'm going to use my window, which I die cut out with white cardstock, kind of as a guide. And I do want to stamp a bird or two in the background too. So we'll just place, there's two different sizes of birds. I'm going to use the smallest one. And there we go. I'll put these back. Now I'm going to trim. Now I'm going to trim down my little scene that we created. And I'm just going to use my scissors to trim it out. And you could do this with any of the windows. And then I have a piece of acetate, and you could put it behind the whole window if you want, but I'm going to put it behind each one of my window panes. I did slightly score the score mark here so they kind of stay open a little bit. I love the way this looks. Okay, I'm going to take this. We're going to bring in our foam strips, and I'm going to put foam tape behind my window. Now I have foam tape behind here. We're going to tack this down to our little scene. And now we can put this anywhere. You could actually turn this into a shaker if you wanted to. Okay, that would be really easy to do. Just close up your window and just put foam tape behind here. Okay, I'm bringing in some cardstock. I have some of our ivory cardstock. This measures, let me tell you the measurements. 2 3/4 inches wide by 4.5 inches tall, okay? My window pane's gonna go here, but I do want to stamp a greeting under here. So I'm going to stamp happy birthday, but I don't mind stamping with distress ink, especially if it's dark. There's my happy birthday. Let's go ahead and add some glue behind our window, and we'll add this right above here. This could be a masculine card, definitely. Okay, I'm going to take this, I'm going to mat this on some blue cardstock that is just slightly smaller. I did end up taking an A2 panel of white cardstock, and I embossed it using a Simon Says Stamp embossing folder. Any kind of embossing folder you have would work. This one is fabulous. It's called Dotted Diamond. And so I just embossed a panel and placed it on the front of my card base. just to add a little something extra in the background. And then I'm going to take this panel and we're going to glue it all the way to the very top here. I did tie another bow with my iridescent cord, and I'm just going to add it to the bottom of my window pane with a glue dot. If you want to keep this card masculine, you could skip the bow, but I just wanted a little extra something there. I'll trim the tail here. Okay, and then I'm also going to bring in a few stars. More over here. And that will finish off that card. Let's take a look at all 3 cards that we made today using the Simon Says Stamp July 2025 card kit. The card kit is called Through the Window. I hope this gives you a little bit of inspiration. I also want to mention that I'll be creating another card for Simon Says Stamp over on their YouTube channel. I'm not sure when they're going to post it, but it's a fabulous card that I think you're really going to enjoy. So head on over, keep a lookout for that video, and eventually I'll show it on my channel, but it's always first there, so you can check that out, and you'll get even more inspiration using the July card kit called Through the Window. Have a great day. Thanks so much for joining me. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for sticking with me to the end. I have 2 more videos that you guys might be interested here. If you guys are new and like the content that you see, click that subscribe button and also the notification bell. That way for future videos, be notified. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It sure does help the channel. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.